It's working! Okay, I'm Sherry Truhlar with Red Apple Auctions. Thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to give you some ideas on what you could do for guest gifts at the benefit auction. Now these are the types of gifts that are going to everyone, not just those who paid extra money to be a VIP at your event, but people who attend are getting this. So the first one that I want to share is one that you probably, if you're doing this sort of thing every year, I'm sure you've thought of it. It's chocolate. So here's a group that I worked with in Florida. Every year they give one of these. It's in a square container like this, but the front of it changes with their theme. So it's edible chocolate, edible frosting, whatever you call it, and they're able to change that to match the theme of the year. I've also seen down in Louisville, Kentucky, 2 bourbon balls are given out in a cute little container, and they're fabulous. Some of the guests just eat those as soon as they're done with their dessert. I've seen Ghirardelli chocolates in 4 different chocolates in a little square about yay big or so. Those have been guest gifts too. Depending on the size, like for that size, the bourbon ball size, those are usually placed on the table so that the guests, when they sit down, there's their gift ready for them. Now similar but different is baked goods. So here's an example of that. This was a different event down in Florida. You can see how thick that cookie is, but on the front, and you probably can't see it all that well through the plastic, is the logo of the nonprofit in the colors of that particular year. I worked with a school 6 months ago. They did the same thing. It was their first event ever after being around for 10 years. As people left, they were able to pick up one of the cookies individually wrapped that said celebrating our 10th anniversary. Similar is Cupcakeries will work with you, and they have individual boxes, so 1 cupcake per box. Now because those boxes are larger, I usually don't see those on the table. Instead, people are handed those gifts as they leave that night, but it's 1 cupcake per person, and they're each individually wrapped, or individually boxed, I should say. I had also been at a group in Philadelphia, and I want to say it was Dunkin' Donuts had individually boxed donuts that they were giving out as a gift. So similar, again, the cookies are probably the easiest to go with because they have so many preservatives in them that they don't get stale right away. That would be my guess. Look at this. This was from probably 5 years ago, this particular one. Not that I'd eat it now. But I don't think you're going to be doing that with a donut for a while. You tend to eat donuts right away. All right, another option here, moving away from the edible category, are note cards. See this? Student art right there in the front. This is an autistic school that I work with. They choose 10 different artists, students, art, put them onto note cards, put them with envelopes. They go into a plastic bag wrapped with a bow on the tables. Every guest has one of those seated right in front of their plate. I worked with a group in Boston, a school for the deaf. They did the same thing. Their students provided the artwork for the covers. But I think this would work just as well in an advocacy center for children. I know art is a big part of healing. You could choose appropriate images and put those on the front of the note cards. Even adult art would be appropriate, and depending on the type of nonprofit you are, you may have access to adult art. So 10 of those, 10 envelopes, wrap it up, you got a guest gift. The other one, and I just dropped this, is photography. Now this is called green screen photography. This background was superimposed. I'm here, my team is here. This was a Winter Games theme at a school auction. It was the Winter Olympics last year. So we posed in front of a green screen, and then they drop in whatever background you want. So the photography studio had brought that Russian stamp. They'd brought a mountain background. They'd brought a snowy background. So you could choose whatever background you wanted. And at the end of the night, we were handed these photographs. Now you may also choose to hang on to the photographs and mail them later. I've got a hospice group, for instance, and they choose to not give the guests the photograph that night. They keep them, and then they send them out. It's another touch point for them. They send them out with a thank you. And I think, I can't remember now, in Iowa, I worked with one of my clients in Iowa does portrait photography. where you come in, it's a black and white gala, you stand with your beloved, you get your photograph taken, and again, it's not like a green screen background where you get to choose your background, it's already set, but it's a very nice photograph of you and your guest. And I don't remember if that hospital mails those photographs out later. I know he mailed me mine, but I don't know if that was, if I just ran out without getting it. I think they maybe mailed theirs out too. Maybe that's another way of saying thank you. So there's a hospice and a hospital both doing that sort of a concept. Now the final example that I'm going to give to you here might be dying. I'm not for sure, but it might be. So the Capitol Steps are a political satire group. You may have heard of them. They travel around the country, but they are based here in D.C. It's kind of like Saturday Night Live, but all political humor. And whenever you have groups like that, oftentimes they have CDs of their work. So they were performing at one of my events, and the guest gift that night was one of their CDs, Capitol Steps, right there across the top. Now in Arizona, I was working out there, and they had a group, a band that was playing that night, and they had cut their first or second CD, and they were distributing their CDs. Everybody at the event got a CD of them. But I don't know, in this day and age with everything is digital performance and people just download it directly to their computers, their iPod, I don't know if they're, I don't know where that's going to go. You know, I don't know where that's going to go. So we'll have to keep an eye on that particular gift idea. But the others sound, man, they're all in the game right now, and you can continue to use those for a while. Everybody's got to eat, so for sure those baked goods are going to be popular. So there you have it. For other great ideas, head over to my website. That's at redappleauctions.com. I have a free gift over there. It is the item guide. Every year I pour through the numbers and figure out the top 100 most creative, most interesting items that I sold in auctions the previous year that sold for overvalue. I put that together in the item guide, and then I distribute that for free on my website. So get that at redappleauctions.com and take it to your next procurement meeting. Meanwhile, I'm Sherry. Thank you so much for joining me, and as always, good luck to you in your benefit auction.